This case that came out last week deals with negligence and assumption of risk in the game of water polo. I very much enjoy these cases that deal with sports, but this one especially. My dad has played water polo professionally at a very high level, and I've been surrounded with water polo when I was a kid. So this case is especially interesting for me. So let's go on and talk about it. Parent of a youth water polo player brings a class action lawsuit against USA Water Polo, a governing body that deals with water polo and governs the game. In the district court, USA Water Polo files a 12B6 motion, essentially trying to stop the litigation at the very earliest stage. The defendant says that the plaintiff has failed to state the facts that would sufficiently show that they can win under the theory of negligence, voluntary undertaking, and gross negligence. After losing under the 12B6 motion, the plaintiff appeals to the Ninth Circuit. So here we are. Here's what happened factually in this case. This parent is suing, however, it's really about the girl that was playing the game. She was playing in a tournament as a goalie. She gets hit in the head and she's feeling not well. She feels dizzy, disoriented, so she swims over to her coach to try to get some kind of help. But the coach tells her to get back in the game and play on. So she swims over and continues being the goalie in this particular tournament. She plays on more games that day, and eventually she gets hit more times in the head with a ball, and she suffers what's called a post-concussion syndrome. Unfortunately, her injuries persisted after the tournament. She had a hard time focusing in school, she had headaches, she had a hard time sleeping, she had low stamina physically, and so on. In California, in order to win under the theory of negligence, the plaintiff has to show that the defendant has owed him or her duty. Number two, that he has breached that duty. And finally, that the damages were proximately caused by that breach. Now, there's a competing idea of assumption of risk. In my previous videos, I have discussed assumption of risk, and I encourage you to go on and watch those videos. But essentially what it means is that the defendant does not owe you duty if the risk is an integral part of the sport, and unless he has increased that risk beyond what's inherent in that particular sport, that he doesn't owe you any duty and you cannot win under the theory of negligence. Of course, getting hit with a ball is part of being a goalie on a water polo team. That makes sense. But the court is quick to remind us that the plaintiff here is not suing about being hit in the head with a ball for the first time. What she's saying is that that could have been part of the game. She's suing about the fact that after being hit, she swam up to the coach and voiced her concerns. But the coach told her to get back in the game and continue playing. At that time, she got hit again and again. So the question becomes, are those subsequent hits an inherent part of the game? And the court says, no, they're not. The court says that there's a case that's directly on point. In that other case, a 17-year-old boy was trying out for the Cincinnati Reds, and he was pitching in front of the scouts. On his third pitch, he felt a pop in his elbow. He ran up to his coach and voiced his concerns. His coach didn't give him any other directions other than to maybe play on. So he went up and he pitched some more, and on his fourth pitch, the very next one, he felt the pain and he couldn't pitch anymore. He sued, and the court held that the third pitch was part of the game, but the fourth pitch was not inherent to the sport. His coach should have stopped him from pitching on. And the same thing and the same idea applies in this case. The coach should have heard his player and stopped her from playing water polo. USA Water Polo argues that if they make the changes, it will fundamentally alter the sport. But that argument really fails, because USA Water Polo has already a policy called Concussion Management and Return to Play Protocol that's already in existence for their adult players who play at a higher level. So if it doesn't alter the sport there, why would it alter the sport for the youth? USA Water Polo argues that they have already fulfilled their duty by having a multi-topic document that they would give to their coaches. Essentially, it would talk about the game itself, sportsmanship, and in fine print, they had a couple lines about concussions. The court disagrees that that has made them fulfill their duty, and in fact, the court says, no, if you compare it to their actual protocol that they use for adults, that fulfills the duty. How come they're not using it for their younger players? Doesn't make sense. The Court of Appeal says that there are enough facts for this case to go on, and that the 12B6 motion should have not been granted, so they remand the case back to the district court for further proceedings. But you know this case is probably going to settle, considering that everything I've described from the case, the court seemed to go in a lot of detail about what should have done and what wasn't done by USA Water Polo. That they didn't have the protocol, they didn't have things about concussions, and that they did in fact owe a duty when the coach made the kid play on instead of taking her out of the game after being injured. So you know this case is probably going to be settled early. If you like this video, please click like, subscribe, hit that bell button so you know when the next time I post a new video.